What's up, guys? So today I'm gonna cover cover a video for you guys that you guys have requested, and that is basically how to get into IT. So I uploaded a video that said my story. I didn't do the the way you're supposed to, I guess, if you will. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the process of if I was starting right now with the information I have now, how I would get into where I'm at now. Okay, so the reason you guys see here, I have the CompTIA website pulled up. Most of you, if you're interested in cyber or IT or anything like that, you know what CompTIA is. It's a company that provides certifications that then an employer, deems that you know what you're talking about, right? So we're going to look at some of these, and we're going to kind of go over the path that I would take depending on what career I'm looking at. So let's start with the first one. I think this is a good cert for anybody. Is A plus and IT fundamentals. Now these certs are, depending on where you're at in your life, career, etc., are can get expensive. So this is the IT fundamentals cert. This is just the extremely basic cert. So you guys can see here. I know my camera's in the way here. We'll move it. Whoops. We'll move the camera here up here for you guys. That way you're not I'm not blocking it. So you can see here, it even says it's a pre-career certification, okay? So this is if you guys are coming from nothing. I would say you could take this in high school probably, even maybe, freshman, sophomore year and probably get this pretty easily if you were that, trying that hard to get in there. So this is just, it shows features and functions of common operating systems. This is the most basic thing you can basically get. And it says here, this is where for individuals interested in pursuing professional level certs such as A+. So you can see how these certs are going to build upon each other, right? So the first thing I would do if I was completely new is probably look into that IT fundamentals. Do you even have to get the cert? Probably not. There's books out there for this specific cert. I would just read the book. You don't even need the cert. The cert's not going to do anything for you. The cert doesn't have no job is looking at it and saying, okay, well, they have that IT fundamental cert, right? So that, like they said, it's not even a professional level certification. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I would just worry about the knowledge, because the first thing you want to learn when you're getting into IT is very, very, very basic stuff, the fundamentals. Um, I don't know. I've never taken the IT fundamentals, so I don't know. But you need Linux, you need Windows, you need just to understand how they work, what a server actually does is, that type of stuff. So if you're completely new, I'd look at that. Okay, now we go to A plus. This is their first industry-wide professional standard. Okay, so we'll go to it, and you can see here. It says here that the only credential with performance-based items. So if you've never taken a CompTIA test, they do have performance-based questions on there, which are going to be instead of multiple choice, it's going to be like it'll give you a scenario where you actually have to manipulate things. So like if it's a router and you have to actually program it, etc. So they give you a little bit of performance base. So it is good. It is good. You can see here, this is A plus. This is a very very basic standard as well. Trusted by employers. So that's the big key right there. Trusted by employers. So you might have this knowledge already, right? You might already know some of this stuff. A plus is very basic, very entry level, and you may already know all this, but the cert lets the business that you're going to work for know that you know it. They're not worried about it. They know for sure. Okay, and I'm not a big advocate for the cert process. I guess there's a lot, that's a whole nother video, but my point is that this is a good cert that a company will recognize and realize. Okay, so you can see here, they tell you the skills that you master, boom boom, companies that use it, and you can see here they give you, that's one thing I like about CompTIA, they do tell you jobs that use it. So service desk, help desk, tech support, field service tech, associate network engineer. So I think the average salary for someone with A plus is like 53,000 or something, which in the IT world is very low, okay? But in the actual world, it's pretty good. That's probably a median income. So even if you just stopped right there, if you really find a job that you love and it's, you're making enough money to be comfortable, be happy. They're great. Now we're looking at where we're going to start kind of branching off, okay? So this is where things get Not complicated by any means, but this is where you're going to have to start getting specific. So you can see here we have Network Plus. I personally wouldn't take Network Plus if I was trying to go the network route. Okay, so networking, if you guys don't know what it is, it's obviously dealing with the IP addresses, MAC address, the lower level of the OSI model. So you're looking at VLANs and actual switches and all that stuff. So that's the stuff where you're basically going to be looking more at the traffic, how it's moving, manipulating it, that type of stuff, and the physical cabling and stuff like that as well, as opposed to like cybersecurity, where you're focused just on the security, or system administration, where you're focused on the applications and things like that. So keep in mind, if you guys take the A plus or even get the information and realize networking interests you, go for it. You can take Net Plus. It's not a bad cert by any means. I wouldn't take it because the CCNA is a better cert. So let's go ahead and Google the CCNA. And it's obviously Cisco, but the CCNA is more of a recognized cert. So all it is, another exam. That's really all it is, but it's a networking specific exam. So you guys can see that. That is what I do for networking. Now, I'll just let you guys know, networking doesn't interest me that much. It is what I do for part of my job, but I'm more interested in the cyber side. So for me, I wouldn't get the Net Plus or the CCNA if I was just starting out, because I know that's not the path I want my career to go. That's fine. But if it is the path, there you go. Network Plus, CCNA, those are both good certs, and then you can start building on there. So then you can take actual classes from vendors once you get into the industry, right? So you can take Cisco's specific training. You can take, different, let's see, Palo Alto's specific training. Like, you can take different vendors' specific training on their hardware and kind of make yourself a niche performer in the sense. So the other one's Security Plus. Again, Security Plus is a basic certification, but what it does is it lets you get into that security realm. So Security Plus, I don't know, with Net Plus and Security Plus, I don't know the median income on those. We can probably actually Google it. We'll Google it Google it right here. Median income for Net or CCNA. Okay, so it looks like with 1 to 4 years experience, you're looking at 66,000. Okay, so what you're seeing here is you're seeing the CompTIA A plus was 53,000. As you start getting better certs, you start, upping your worth. So CCNA, we're looking at 66,000. Let's look at Security Plus. That's security guards. I don't know. CompTIA. So now you're looking at CompTIA Security Plus, 81,000. Okay, so you see that the security portion is going to be a little bit more beneficial financially, but it doesn't interest everybody. So don't look at it as just an income-based thing. I'll tell you that now. I used to make a lot of money, and then I wanted to get into IT and cybersecurity, and I took a big pay cut to start out in cybersecurity, and I was never disappointed. I was extremely happy. So don't think of money as everything, okay? So we got Security Plus. Okay, so a lot of you are thinking, okay, so if I want to go networking, Net Plus, CCNA, if I want to go security, Security Plus, etc. So I'll tell you, with Security Plus, you're looking at jobs, and we'll see if it tells you here. You're looking at like system administration jobs. You're looking at, so there's a sysad right there, network cloud engineer. So you notice the difference between the CCNA is you can be a network engineer. Okay, I think the other one said like network assistant or something. So it lets them know that you have the basic understanding of security to the level of the fact that you are going to be held accountable if something happens, or you're not going to make a mistake that's going to crash everything because you know better. Okay, so that's kind of the thought process behind it, Security Plus, right? So once you go back, we'll go back. So now a lot of you are kind of going, okay, so now I've got Net Plus, Security Plus, or as far as, like I said, I would not take the Net Plus. I'd take CCNA over Net Plus. But again, it's all based on what you guys think is best for your career. So then we got Security Plus. We take it. We're good. Okay, so now you're thinking, I've got Security Plus. Now what? So now you're going to be able to pick up a job pretty easily. Security Plus, you're going to be able to pick up a sysad job, something like that, a netad, anything like that. So from there, now is where you can really specialize, okay? And you can see So, for instance, if you wanted to just be a Linux administrator, let's say you really like Linux, but you're like, ugh, right now I have to do Windows and Linux, and I just really want to focus on Linux. You can see Linux Plus is a great cert for it. I also recommend Red Hat's certification. Red Hat Linux, if you guys aren't familiar, is the most secure currently, I believe. It was last I checked. It might not be now, but it's the most secure version or flavor of Linux, if you will, that's marketable, Enterprise Edition. Okay, so they have their own certification. Red Hat does. I'd look that up. I can't remember what it's called. Let's see, Red Hat certifications. Um, and we'll just take a look here. But this is based on Red Hat's version of. So this is where you're starting to niche yourself in, right? So you're starting to make yourself in a market where now this is what you do. This is what you enjoy. So you're not going to ever. So as a system administrator or network administrator or even a help desk assistant, anything like that, any type of field technician, all that stuff, you're doing broad stuff. You're just troubleshooting broad stuff, right? So now with this, if you start getting Red Hat certifications and stuff, now you're gonna work on Red Hat, okay? And you may really like that, and that's great. Same thing with network engineers and stuff. You may get on a Cisco, switch and start and become an expert at Cisco, and now you work at Cisco. Not literally, but you work on Cisco stuff. That's kind of what you got to realize in the cybersecurity world is there's so much that you need to find your niche. You need to find what makes you happy financially, based on job, also, enjoyment of job, quality of life. Those are all things that you need to think about. So right there, Rhcsa, Red Hat Certified System Administrator. So that would be the next step up for you, Rhcsa. I would get that personally over Linux Plus unless I was just trying to understand Linux. Rhcsa is going to be a lot harder. Red Hat is very well known, so if you have the cert, it'll probably translate. But again, Linux Plus is something I would get if I was just trying to just kind of establish my baseline with Linux, right? Server Plus, again, these are things that there's certs out there. You can read the books and get that information without needing to buy the cert. And the reason I tell people that is because if you're interested in cloud computing and that's what you want to do, you can buy that book, read it, understand it, and then start building for higher level certs without paying the however much these certs are. So Linux Plus, I think, is like $300 or something. Well, is it going to help you that much on your resume? Probably not. A company's either going to say, "Do you know Linux?" You do? Okay. You don't? Okay. They're not going to be like, "Do you have a Linux Plus cert?" If they do, you could probably go get it. If you already have the information, you could probably go knock it out. But I wouldn't just start buying all these certs, right? So the one I would look at, A plus, if you're kind of newer, it's a good cert to have. Security Plus trumps all these, okay? So, or well, except for Net Plus because Net is a different avenue. Remember that. So what I mean by that is, if you're going for this cert, Security Plus, don't go get A plus first unless you have. Same thing with if you're getting A plus, don't go for IT fundamentals first unless you have no knowledge and you're really trying to build yourself up. The reason I say that is because you can buy these books, read them, and keep moving on, and then just pay $250, get Security Plus, and a company sees it as you have this understanding already, if that makes sense. So, okay, so then let's go up a little bit better. So once we get rid of these infrastructure ones, because some people like working on just infrastructure. If you like working on infrastructure, these are your certs. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. I like running it, cable. I like doing all that stuff myself. So now we're looking at CYSA, okay? Cybersecurity Analyst. So Cybersecurity Analyst is exactly what it says. You're basically looking at being an analyst for cybersecurity. Let's see if it tells you the jobs here. So Threat Intel Analyst, Compliance Analyst, Threat Hunter. So you're starting to get into these more advanced positions, okay? I would recommend CYSA. Some people won't, and that's fine. I would recommend CYSA, and then I would start going for like your OSCP if you're trying to be a pen tester, okay? Pen Test Plus, I wouldn't really recommend it that much personally because it's a decent cert to have. It looks good on a resume. But CEH, I think, is a little bit better than Pentest Plus. And then on top of that, OSCP is obviously the best comparatively of the three. So what I'm saying here is, so now that if you want to be a network guy, you've got to go for your CCNA and start building that way, right? there's a network tree of certs you got to go. If you want to be just a sysad or something like that, you have that with Security Plus and with the A Plus, and you can start that route as well. Now, if you're trying to do security specifically, you are going to start looking at the CYSA. You're going to start looking at some of this Pen Test Plus. It's not a hard cert, and then CASP Plus, excuse me. It's an advanced cert. You can see it says security disciplines in complex environments. So these are CompTIA specific certs, but I think the path they lay out is very good to see. That's why I'm staying on this. So don't get hung up on these specific certs. I'm just saying these paths that you have to take. These are just things that I like the way they built it out so that I could show you guys. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is once you get a little bit of experience under your belt, right? Once you're a little bit familiar with the technical side, you may decide, hey, I've got a project manager or I've got a ISSO that's real good dude, makes a lot more money than me, and seems like he doesn't work as hard as me. Now, don't get me wrong, number one, they do work as hard. Number two, you just don't see it, okay? So, if that interests you, that's when you're going to start looking at CISSP, okay? And that's Certified Information Systems Security Professional. What that is kind of your managerial certification. So that will say you not only have enough of the technical to understand it, but you also have enough of like the legal, so the laws, the all the different security practices, all the different accreditations, certifications, all that stuff that you as a company need to hold to be accountable and reliable. So if those positions interest you, because I know a lot of people are interested in that type of stuff, if that's the type of stuff that you're interested in, CISSP is for you. Now, keep in mind with CISSP, it's kind of less technical than some of these, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more information. So, like, it's not going to build upon itself in the sense. So you will need a decent IT background to understand the basics of CISSP, and then you'll have to learn a whole bunch more stuff, okay? So the three routes that we're looking at now is networking, then you're looking at security, and then you're looking at system administration and that type of thing. So server administration, system administration, all that. There's a million different routes you can take where you can be a database administrator, system administrator for Linux specific, Mac operating system specific. You could be the administrator for mobile devices. There's a million categories, but these are some of the things that you need to do first to get it out of the way, to knock out that information, start building that information, get a entry level position, and get your foot in that door and start building your way up. Now keep in mind, a lot of schools now too, so cybersecurity wasn't a thing in college when I was going, at least not the college I went to. So the schools that you go to now have these courses that also will give you the knowledge to go take the certifications too. So keep that in mind if you're a young kid getting ready to go to school, and you're doing a cybersecurity degree. You can also hopefully bank on that school to give you enough knowledge where you can feel comfortable taking the tests rather than just sit here and read the books. But as far as that's the path that I think you guys should take, at least that outline. But one thing I want to tell you guys is before you start just spending a ton of money, because let me show you something. This IT fundamentals, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I tell you the truth. You guys know that if you watch my channel. $126, okay? $126. Now, let's see. Okay, if you wanted to, you could spend $400 on this just by getting the voucher, the retake, what's this? Their Cert Master, so that's like their online learning and stuff. So you could spend $400 on this on a $120 cert, okay? Now you can do that with every one of their certs. So before you start throwing money at these things, start thinking a little bit. So YouTube, there's courses out there for YouTube. My CEH course on my YouTube is exactly out of the book. Okay, there's a bunch of courses on YouTube that are free. Okay, Professor Messer is a great one. There's a bunch of them that are free. Do some research. Dive into those. another thing, there's a lot of resources out there where it's, like a virtual boot camp, if you will, where it might be, you know, $20 a month, but you get a bunch of different libraries that you can look through. Check and see if one of them is the cert you're going for, and research it there. Just don't go out and spend a ton of money on their programs, okay? The reason I say that is because these vendors, their entire job is to make money. Keep in mind, it's a business still, okay? So yes, they are providing a service, but their service is your accreditation. Their service isn't for you to just keep paying them forever, okay? That's what they think it is, but keep that in mind that you don't need to pay them forever. So as you can see, when you start getting up to these higher level certs, and I'll just show you that same now you're looking at $1,000 for that e-learning, okay? So you can see how these add up very quickly, all these different certs, and then on top of that, if you're buying the e-learning from them, don't do it. Research it first. Buy the book. The books are $20 maybe, but that's my recommendations for you guys. And I did very overhead view of this. I did not dive into specifics. I didn't dive into where to study, what to do, that type of stuff, because that's all dependent upon each cert you get, each school you go to. I will tell you guys right now, if you're in the going into the cyber world, regardless of what degree you have, regardless of what your goals are, you will have to get certifications, okay? It's just the way the industry is right now. It may change over time. It may change hopefully someday, but the point is you will have to get certifications for a company to hire you. So keep that in mind. If you're wondering why all I covered was certs, because that's your ticket into the door for a job. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, need any help, feel free to drop a like, drop a comment, and just say, hey, I need help. And then we can figure something out. You can join the Discord, and we can try and figure out what can we do to get you where you want to be. So let me know, guys, what you guys think and what other videos you guys want to see. Thanks.